Once you have your wax paper placed over your side view or your bottom view, you are ready to build. To speed up the building time, what I suggest doing is taking your masking tape and just ripping off some tiny little pieces and leaving them along the edge of your table. This way you don't have to keep ripping them off as you're building. So again, you can go ahead and get that ready first. Okay, so we are ready to build here. What I'd also suggest you guys getting is a pen, pencil, or if you have a fingernail for marking. I'm going to use a marker so this way you guys can see it easier on the video. So what we'd like to do is we'd actually like to place these balsa wood sticks onto your drawing. Okay, you guys will notice that balsa wood again is very fragile. If I just go like this, it snaps easily. So try to pretend that you're working with like pieces of spaghetti. My best suggestion is to start with some of the longer pieces or the outside perimeter of your bridge. So for example, the longest piece of balsa wood that I'm going to have to cut is the roadway right here. So what I'm going to do is get my piece of balsa wood. Okay, I'm going to place one end here, place the other end here, and with my marker, I'm going to go ahead and make a mark where I want to cut with the balsa wood cutters. So again, here are the balsa wood cutters. There are two different types. You've got a larger pair and you also have a smaller pair. They are both similar. You and your partner can decide which one you'd like to use. There is a locking feature, okay, which is right here. If you bring the lever down, it will open up and you can use it like a pair of scissors. Please be careful with them. These are pretty expensive. So I have my mark here. What I'd like to do is go ahead and cut the stick. Okay. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to tape down this piece of balsa wood using some of the tape that I cut and having off to the side. You want to make sure that you do a few pieces on these longer ones. For some of the shorter ones, you might only need one piece. Okay, so I'm going to add one here, I'm going to add one here, and I'm going to add one towards the center. One thing I do want to point out, okay, is that you don't want to add tape where you're going to have other pieces of balsa wood coming in. So for example, if we look here, I eventually am going to have a piece of balsa wood coming down here, 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 and here. Okay, if I add a piece of tape here, okay, I'm not going to be able to add those pieces of balsa wood. So try to find an area on your bridge where no balsa wood is coming in. So if we look in the center, okay, that would be a perfect spot. And you just want to make sure that your balsa wood sticks are not going to be moving around if you pick it up. Okay, and that's the objective of taping them down. So another thing I can do, okay, is I can start on this end here. You'll notice that this is a little bit of an angle, and you can actually cut angles on your balsa wood cutter. So if you want to do a 45-degree angle, what you can do is place your piece of balsa wood along that stop fence and then cut, and it will be a nice 45-degree angle. Okay, if we look here, okay, that is going to match perfectly. You want to make sure that you aren't getting any gaps or holes in between. Let me bring this up to the camera. Okay, you want to make sure that it fits perfectly. You want to make sure that there's no gaps like this in between, because you will be adding some glue later, and I'll show you guys that in a later video. But again, you want to make sure all of your balsa wood pieces are touching. Let me put this back down. So again, I want to go ahead and mark where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to mark here. I'm going to go ahead and cut. Okay, another trick that you can also use, you can tell that your bridge is symmetrical. So this piece here is going to be the same piece here. So while you have this here, okay, if you have a piece with another piece with a 45-degree angle, okay, if you have them on top, go ahead and cut it so it's the same length. So this way you're only measuring this one once, but now you have two pieces of balsa wood that are cut. And that is a trick that'll help you build a little bit faster. And like I said, you need to make sure that you are getting your entire side view done in one class period, because this needs to dry so that you can take it off and then build another one, because again, we have two sides to our bridge. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and keep adding some more. So this piece right here is the same here. I'm gonna line up my piece of balsa wood, make a mark, grab my balsa wood cutter, and again, I know I have 2 of those pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this piece of balsa wood up here, cut it, place this one here, place this one here, add a little piece of tape, and add a little piece of tape. Okay, hopefully by now you should get the hang of it, and you're just gonna keep working. Okay, go ahead and making a mark, and then cutting. And again, I have 2 of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and line that up, cut this piece. Okay. Again, I don't want to add a piece of tape here because I will have other balsa wood sticks coming in, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit further here. I'm going to go ahead and add this piece here. Again, make sure it's touching the other pieces of balsa wood. You want to make sure it's touching at the bottom. You want to make sure it's touching on top. Make sure there's no gaps in between. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue building. You can go ahead and continue building. Move on to the next video once you have your entire view done.